Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired!
Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Stupid.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It's Thursday. Got a fantastic show for you today. Wow. So a lot of news. A lot of course, disastrous conservatives, ghouls, anti-trans legislation. Of course. But we're also going to make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I guess it balances out, right? No, not really. The horrible stuff that is going on against the trans community is basically tantamount to the attempt to genocide them. So no, there is no comparison. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about that. The latest panic in Texas. But we are also going to make fun of Marjorie Greene. So, at least that's fun as opposed to all the other horrible stuff. But we are going to start up with a bit of a correction and more information. So yeah, Boebert, the Lauren Boebert story that I did yesterday, there was a huge response to it. Again, mainly positive, huge response. It got a lot of attention, and that's good. But in it, I found out a few details that I want to share with you today. Again, a bit of an update and a small correction based on more of the information, more of the details that I have. And why don't we, get to it? Am I in YouTube and Facebook right now? This is my only notification. Yeah, everything seems to be streaming pretty well. Of course, I did end up hitting a button at like 4 o'clock because I'm like rushing to get things done. It's been a very busy day. Okay, so with that said, we have a lot of fun stories. Why don't we get to them? Before we do, please like and share the stream wherever you're watching. Very important that you do so. If there's an ability to like and share, please do so. YouTube is working fine. YouTube notifications are notoriously bad. Yeah, you gotta click the bell and all that stuff. Gotta watch the Bobo video later. Never saw it when it first dropped. Yeah. It kind of blew up a little bit. It's like 85,000 views at least, just on YouTube. And then of course there's on Facebook. It's garnering a few thousand views as well. So yeah, a lot of information about that. So why don't we start out with that first story here? And address an update. Okay. Okay. I have an update to share with you about the story concerning Lauren Boebert and her visit to a school in the Dolores School District in Colorado, her home state, obviously, and the state that she represents. So this visit happened back in March. It was supposed to not be a political event. It turned into a political event, at least according to parents that were there. And before I get into more of the details about what I have learned since doing the story yesterday, let's do a correction, just a small correction here, just to be factually accurate. So in my reporting yesterday, I said that there was no notice of time ahead of time or ability to opt out for parents. So I was actually wrong about that. I want to correct the record here, and I'm going to base it on email correspondence I had from one of the parents who had spoken out against Boebert's visit. So this is, again, just being super correct, being on the record. Their email to me contained a copy of an email she'd received from the school. Now get this. While there was notice, they had 2 days worth of notice. So this email from the school district about Boebert's visit was dated on March 13th, 2023. The visit was on March 15th. So that means, again, parents had very little notice. They had notice, but very little. The email also noted that students were given an opportunity not to attend. In fact, the email noted that there will be a supervised classroom available for students to go during that time. And so I don't know how many people ended up not going to that event. But anyway, in my conversation with the parent, they noted, and this is where the issue comes into play. Rumors of her visit, of Boebert's impending visit, actually circulated around the town for about a week. And just before she showed up, that's when they got the notice. Fascinating. Now, the email itself actually references that from the schools to the parent. Quote, "We are aware that news of her visit has begun to spread, and we would like to take a few minutes to clarify the nature of her visit and address any concerns that you may have." Well, now wait a minute. Hold on here. Why did they wait until there were rumors going around of Lauren Boebert showing up in order to inform the parents? That seems a little weird. It seems like you would actually want them to know as soon as you've made the arrangements that she would be able to show up. Now, of course, I'm sure, officials are explaining it away. So, it's a politician, and you never know. His schedule's very busy and everything, and last minute stuff, and all sorts of, I would say, excuses. Okay, but that's just me. So now, again, they scheduled this. And again, they've been wanting to schedule her for quite some time before alerting the parents that, hey, we're trying to get Lauren Boebert to come out and speak to students. And we'll let you know. We'll give you some updates. We'll give you some details on, when she is supposed to come and speak. So they'd been trying to schedule her for some time. Boebert wasn't actually available until March. And again, very odd, I think, the fact that they waited until there were rumors going around about this visit. It's a little sketchy, especially considering how controversial Boebert is. I mean, she's essentially a lightning rod of controversy, because of a lot of the things that she has actually said. So more details that I've learned that I think are very interesting is the email where it stated that no one is invited save for one reporter. So there actually was a member of the media. So now here's what the email said. This event is solely an opportunity for Dolores secondary students, which is 6th grade through 12th grade. It is not open to the public. Parents, family members, friends, and community members who are not students or staff members at Dolores Secondary will not be permitted to attend. This is also not a media event. We will likely have a journalist from the Cortez Journal in attendance. But there will only be an opportunity for students to ask questions, not the media. This is the reason that we have not advertised this event online. Now, I looked into that reporter, again, based on a tip from one of the parents that I had spoken to. And that reporter is Bailey Duran. Okay, so who's Bailey Duran? I don't know too much about her other than the fact that she is a graduate of Liberty University, the very famous or infamous super right-wing conservative university. Oh, interesting. Now, her Facebook profile also says that she's chasing after Jesus and has written for numerous conservative publications, like The Federalist, for example, CNS News. Oh, no, look, maybe I'm reading into it just a little bit. Might be nothing, but I just personally feel that it's a little strange that this person, seems to be someone who would be pro Boebert, would be the only reporter allowed to cover the event and to write about it. That's very, very strange. It just seems odd to me. I don't know. I don't know, by the way, if she was requested by the Boebert team. I don't have any information on that. I don't know if she was requested by the school. I don't know if she was requested by the paper itself. I don't know. There's a lot of questions here. I would be very interested in seeing the answers to these questions. Now, another question, by the way, speaking of that, that a lot of the audience, a lot of the responses that I received to this segment that I put out yesterday was, oh my God, was she armed? Lauren Boebert. Because she is, of course, famous for carrying her gun just about everywhere. Apparently, the school knew enough about her and about her, record. Again, they know who she is. They know who she is. That they specifically devoted a section to pointing out how that she will not be armed during this visit. Oh, well, thanks God. Wow. How great that you're not going to allow an armed, in my opinion, psychopath to be inside the school. Yay. Wonderful. Now, that said, she apparently was armed with a lot of disinformation and had spread that, doing what is, in effect, a political speech inside the school, using political topics. Now, according to the email invite and notification to the parents, she was not supposed to engage in any of these political topics. But because it is Lauren Boebert, after all, she probably could not help herself, because. Now, the email said that Congressman Boebert is simply there to share insight on what it's like to serve in Congress, provide an overview of her legislative focus, which is all culture war nonsense, by the way, representing Colorado, including water issues, and then highlight the unprecedented events which started the 118th session of Congress. But it noted that the purpose of this event is not political. Well, maybe you should have told Lauren Boebert that. And by the way, the school is not private. It is a public school, from what I can tell. Well, okay, so this is not supposed to be political, and yet she brings up obvious political topics, talking about, for example, moral decay in our society, and how specifically COVID-19 measures were, quote unquote, taking your liberty away. And that's a rough quote. I don't have an exact 100% quote, but I'm paraphrasing here. Taking away your liberty. Now, look, there's a lot more information that I've received that I need to go through and, read through and make sure that I get all the information and the facts right. But, man, what I've seen so far, very, very interesting stuff. I've got a lot more to share within at least a coming week, perhaps more. But it is developing, and I just wanted to share this update to the story, which has gotten a lot of attention. The Denver Post put out an article earlier this morning that was talking about it, having quotes from some of the parents as well. And based on the attention that this has received on my own channel, it's a very big deal, and people are starting to pay attention. And good, because this is something that one of the parents had expressed to me, that they have been trying to get this out into the national spotlight, into the national media for some time. And their goal, of course, is to make changes and provide basically a school learning experience that will be beneficial to the students. After all, that is the entire goal here, is for everyone to have a quality education and not be influenced by overtly political topics while they're in school, especially since some of them will be, soon, by the time Boebert's next election comes around, will be at voting age. Some of the, high school kids that she had talked to. And so, I don't know, in my opinion, it definitely seems like an attempt by her to do a political stump speech in order to influence young voters into turning out for her. Now, I do hope that it backfires hilariously in her face, but we'll have to see. At the same time, though, it should have never been a political speech in the first place. So I will provide you more updates when I can, and when I have all the information set up and collected. All right. Exclusive. I know it is. It is an exclusive. Super awesome. All right. So, it's like Breaking Point. They said they have to get the children. Yeah. That's my thought exactly. All right. Let's move on to Marjorie Greene. Hoo boy. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is apparently gatekeeping motherhood. During a hearing of the House Education and Labor Committee on Wednesday, she decided to, as a political attack, to slam stepmothers as not real mothers.
Are you a mother?
I am a mother by marriage.
By marriage, I see.
And my wife is here with me, so I'm really glad that she's here. Rabbi Sharon Klein.
Ms. Weingarten, I reclaim my time. I didn't ask you a question.
Sorry.
What I'd like to talk about is your recommendations to the CDC as not a medical doctor, not a biological mother, and really not a teacher either. You had no business advising the CDC what the medical guidelines were for school closures, because now we have a nation of school children who have suffered because of it. The problem is people like you need to admit that you're just a political activist, not a teacher, not a mother, and not a medical doctor.
Oh, wow. Just when you thought that Marjorie Greene couldn't go lower, she decides to go much, much lower. Let me be clear. Stepmothers are also mothers, literally in the name. No. Stepfathers are fathers, period. Just because you didn't personally push the kid out of your body does not mean that you're not a parent. Okay? And also, based on her implication, she believes that if you didn't personally do that, then you shouldn't be making decisions for children, even though you are technically a parent and guardian of that child. I mean, seriously, if you take on the responsibilities of a parent, you are a parent, whether or not you are biological or not. By the way, anybody can make children, okay? It takes a parent, though, to raise a child, parent or parents in this case. And for various reasons, a step parent can get involved and in some cases be better than a biological parent. Or an adoptive parent as well, because again, this applies to people who marry in, to those who have children or adopt. Marjorie Greene is basically spitting in all those people's face. And let me give you a situation, by the way. Think about where a biological mother struggles with addiction, right? Can't take care of her family, can't take care of her child. Or maybe just you have somebody who's not a good parent, doesn't want to be a good parent, or doesn't want to be a parent at all. Well, that's fine. A step parent or an adoptive parent can step up and be a good guardian and parent for that child. Isn't that what we want? We want people to come and be good parents, and we want kids to grow up, with the proper kind of guidance and structure and love and help and all that stuff that they need to thrive. Why is Marjorie Greene like spitting on those people? Why? What's going on here? For Greene to sit there and crap on it, on those people in order to make a stupid political point against someone she obviously does not like or agree with. Randy Weingarten also happens to be a member of the LGBTQ community. To say that she is not a mother is super, super offensive. On purpose. Literally gatekeeping motherhood in order to make a political point. It's ridiculous. So, look, obviously, Marjorie Greene, she didn't think this one through. Then again, do you really think that she thinks at all? Not if it's about anybody else and can't see outside of her own warped political perspective. That's Marjorie Greene for you.
Peachtree dish. Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
Okay. Oh, we have more. And according to Marjorie Greene, women who have menopause shouldn't have an opinion about Roe v. Wade. This happened twice. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Let's go to climate change.
People are not affecting climate change. You're going to tell me that back in the Ice Age, how much taxes did people pay and how many changes did governments make to melt the ice?
What? Wait, what? Oh, hold on. That was Representative Marjorie Greene doing something. I don't know. Maybe she's attempting to own the libs, but just succeeding in making herself look stupid. I mean, there's a lot there. First of all, obviously, government did not exist during the Ice Age. There was a government. There wasn't taxes. I don't know where she's going with this. But Jeff, don't you understand that makes her point, right? No, it doesn't. No, only if you're deeply ignorant about what you're talking about, which of course explains Marjorie Greene. What she's talking about here is trying to imply that, climate change, obviously it's not driven by human beings. Climate change, totally natural. So why are we worrying about it? Wait, nobody says that climate change is only driven by human activities. Global climate has changed many times before, but it usually generally occurs over long periods of time or as a result of catastrophic change. Like, for example, a meteor impact or a supervolcano eruption, stuff like that. Now, on those, when that happens, say we're talking about a supervolcano, right? Generally, when a supervolcano erupts, it puts a lot of carbon into the atmosphere, a lot of greenhouse gases, and usually end up with a mass extinction. There's been 5 mass extinctions. One of the most, the biggest ones was caused by a super volcano. So now you might be wondering, why am I talking about super volcanoes? On the fact that I guess just like a volcano, Marjorie Greene tends to spew hot gases. No, there's a real point here. Huge volcanic eruptions happen to put a large amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. That causes global climate changes. Rapid climate change is believed to have been behind massive extinctions. Last one of this kind believed to have been about 252 million years ago. So here's the scary thing, though, and the overall point. According to Curtin University School of Earth and Planetary Sciences in Western Australia, humanity is emitting carbon 200 times faster than the rate of prehistoric super eruptions that caused mass extinctions. Oh, that's not good. That sounds bad. That sounds very bad indeed. Mass extinctions resulting from supervolcanic activity were found to be due chiefly to enormous, rapid emissions of carbon dioxide, as opposed to gentle, glacially slow natural carbon cycle, and opposed to other phenomena related with super eruptions. Sudden, massive release of CO2 and other greenhouse gases seem to have pushed the global environment beyond a tipping point, acidifying oceans and lifting temperatures to deadly levels, which we're kind of doing that right now, you know? So look, the issue is not the climate changing, because again, we have this natural climate cycle. It's really the rate of change. So we're changing it faster than human beings and animals can adapt, and our climate can adapt. So look, humanity, industry, fossil fuels, they put out more carbon than can be absorbed naturally by plant life, by the ocean. That's the problem. That's why you see the ocean getting more acidic. Since the Industrial Revolution, scientists have measured a 30% increase in ocean acidity. Now, that has huge ramifications on the food chain, as it ends up, of course, softening the shells of mollusks, and also, any creature that grows a shell in the ocean, which there are a lot of them, shellfish. Well, apparently not anymore. I mean, not as long as the ocean keeps acidifying, there ain't going to be no shells left. And it also, of course, has other impacts on fish species. It's just not good. Very bad. Very bad. And so the reality here is that slow climate change is natural, while rapid human-driven climate change is not natural and is bad and has negative effects that is threatening our entire way of life. And if we don't do anything to curb it, that could mean the end of human life and animal life altogether, or at least a massive die-off. So, the stakes are pretty dire here, okay? But all Marjorie Greene wants to talk about is, and there's more, in that video that I cut out, but she talks about opening, so this is why we don't need to open the borders and tax people. That's what she cares about. Like, oh, I'm getting taxed. What? By the way, that's their right-wing argument is, oh, climate change is a hoax just to tax us more. Tax who? Average people? Average people already pay more taxes than billionaires. Shouldn't these corporations be paying some of these taxes? They do, after all, create 70% of the new emissions. Corporations? Anybody? Look, here's the thing, though. A Green New Deal would actually help the economy, would actually create more jobs in renewable energy, manufacturing, careers in research and development, public transportation, installation and operation of new methods of energy collection and generation. There's all this potential here. And it just doesn't have to be our benefit. It's the world's benefit as well that can benefit from these technologies if we're allowed to use them. Unfortunately, you have right-wingers, you have, big oil, all these giant corporations, fossil fuel companies that want to continue making money, coal, oil, natural gas, and they pay off lobbyists and politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene so that they can continue to make as much profit as they can, as much profit as possible, because ultimately they don't care about the environment. Their business model is harmed by doing anything to curb carbon emissions at all. So, unfortunately, this is an issue of capitalism leading our species to destruction. And Marjorie Greene, more than happy to help push us all off the cliff. So, there it is. Money is powerful. Unfortunately, there is a lot of power in lobbying. Okay. The military-industrial complex is the biggest emitter, I heard. Oh, yeah, the United States military is hugely problematic when it comes to emissions. Is it the biggest emitter? I still think it's 100 corporations releasing about 70% of the emissions, or responsible for 70% of the emissions. But yeah, military-industrial complex would be part of that, defense contractors, etc. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Oh boy. More fun stuff. A Texas school district canceled a field trip because a parent complained about actors dressing up. I'm not kidding. According to KTRK-TV, the Spring Branch Independent School District had canceled a trip to see a performance of James and the Giant Peach. I remember reading that as a kid. And this was canceled after a single parent complained about actors dressing up in both female and male roles, claiming that this is inappropriate for children. Wait. Okay. Administrators told the TV station that Spring Branch ISD's pending field trips to the Main Street Theater performance of James and the Giant Peach are being canceled due to concerns raised about the age appropriateness of the performance. That play is based on a Roald Dahl book intended for children as young as the first grade. And yet, apparently, if you have an actor that is for example, assigned female at birth and they play a male character, or vice versa, somehow that's inappropriate now. No, this is ridiculous. That parent's been watching way too much Fox News. I'm just saying. I remember growing up, and I remember watching Peter Pan being played by a female actor, and like the plays and stuff. Nobody complained about that, or maybe they did, and we just didn't have the as much internet back then. So we didn't hear about all the weirdos that were complaining, about all this stuff. It's insane. Nobody freaked out about it. And by the way, it's not even drag. And that said, drag is not a bad thing anyway. So, in fact, here's a spokeswoman, for Main Street Theater, Shannon Emmerich. She said, drag is a different art form. There is a whole art form that is drag. And this is not it. I mean, this is what happens when your brain they got the woke mind virus. And that's what it is too. Woke mind virus, it does exist. It is real. It just infects conservative brains and makes them think that if you're an actor playing a character of a different gender, that somehow that is the destruction of Western civilization. I mean, their brains are broken. It's insane. It's insane. No, look, here's the other thing, right? So a lot of this drag panic is, drag, it's sexual, it's sexual. No, not inherently. It can be, certainly. But it's actually just an art form that can be interpreted in many different ways. And that it can be performed in many different ways. Some of them can be sexual. And of course, you don't want them near children. And they're not going near children to do the sexual stuff. The non-sexual stuff, like reading a book to a child, What's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how there are child-friendly drag events. Again, where you're just a drag performer reading a book. And that's it. Like, they're freaking out about this. I don't understand. But again, woke mind virus apparently is taking them right over. Again, nobody wants sexual performances around children. Obviously, we're all against that. But if you think the idea of someone dressing as another gender is immediately has to be sexual, then, well, I mean, maybe it is for you. Maybe it's sexual for you. And if it is for you, then maybe you want to do some self-reflection as to why you believe that is sexual. Just saying. And by the way, speaking of dressing in gender-appropriate dress, oh no, like, okay, you know that men used to wear skirts a lot. All the way back to prehistoric times. Men wore skirts. I'm not kidding. Only in the 1800s did, in Western, areas, did skirts become considered to be feminine. A little bit of history for you. And look, soldiers all over the Western world. Western man. Skirts, apparently, part of the culture, part of our Western heritage. They were, by the way, considered, they were worn by soldiers a lot and were considered proof of virility and allowed for swiftness while in combat. Virility, you say?
Sexual anarchy.
So, Western man, apparently skirts are a sign of sexual prowess. Manly skirts. If that triggers you, wait till you hear about young boys in dresses. Turns out from the mid-16th century until the late 19th or early 20th century, Western boys were unbreeched and wore gowns or dresses until an age that varied between 2 and 8. So, dresses. Little boys in dresses. Has your head exploded yet? Look, all of this is stupid, okay? This is nonsense culture war bullcrap. It's not drag. And again, there's no problem with drag anyway. It is all nonsense. Just nonsense. But getting back to Shannon Emmerich, I want to finish off her quote here. The amazing thing is the kids just believe the story. They're not interested in any agendas or anything else anyone thinks is going on. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? The people who are obsessed with agendas are the people blaming and pointing out or claiming that everyone else has an agenda. You've got an agenda. You're sexualizing the children. What? No. Why would you think that way? What has gotten into your brain to make you think that? What's going on? And by the way, the people that actually do prey on children happen to be like in the priesthood. Your kids are safer around drag queens than they are Catholic priests. Those are just facts. But like, yeah, the people obsessed though with the so-called trans agenda are the right-wingers online who have, unfortunately they have large platforms. They're very big influencers, and all they do is whip people up for clicks, for views. That's really all it is. Now, one of the parents, by the way, not the parent who complained, because it was one parent who complained. Pretty much all the other parents were fine. One of them, Sherry Thomas, was quoted in the article saying, quote, "Drag is not a big deal. It's theater. It's art. It's been a part of our culture for years." And says that while it's not drag, it doesn't matter anyway. Why are people up in arms in this? And I got to say, Sherry, 100% based. Look, at the end of the day, no one cares except for weirdo right-wing reactionaries who apparently see sexual stuff in everything. And again, if that's the case, you got your own problems. Maybe you're a little bit repressed. I don't know. Or maybe you have, thoughts about drag queens. I don't think that's a problem. Just don't take it out on everybody else. Don't project your weirdo thoughts onto other people. Okay? And by weirdo thoughts, I mean like that, drag queens or whatever have some weird agenda to sexualize your children. Because that's just not true. Okay. Yeah, Catholics wear robes and dresses every day. True. They just look at a lot of irony here. Minnesota governor signed legislation today enshrining abortion and gender-affirming care. Another bill banning conversion therapy. Minnesota is on a roll. Totally on a roll. In fact, I may have I think I'll have enough time to get to another amazing Minnesota story. So Minnesota and Michigan, the MI states, we're kicking some ass. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. But first, we have more Texas, unfortunately. The boo. The booers. Boo. Okay. Wisconsin got a W-2. Oh, hey, awesome. The Texas Department of Agriculture has a new dress code. And, of course, it's aimed at going after trans people. Because, of course. Texas Observer, digital editor, and genderqueer journalist Kit O'Connell recently obtained an April 13th dress code and grooming memo to agency employees from the Texas Department of Agriculture. It's Commissioner Sid Miller. Sid Miller happens to have been an advisor for the campaign, or no, not for the campaign, but for former President Donald Trump. So, unsurprising. The memo states, quote, employees are expected to comply with this dress code in a manner consistent with their biological gender, which that's not actually a thing. That conflates sex and gender. Is there biological sex? Yes. There's no such thing as biological gender. Gender is just expression. Really. These people are stupid. Now, funny enough, apparently part of what they consider to be biological gender is Western. Western apparel apparently is acceptable attire for women. However, it must have no excessive cleavage. What do you consider to be excessive?
Sexual anarchy.
Texas. Come on. And can be, and skirts should be within 4 inches of the knees. Again, this is for a government job for adults. So you got this weird kind of dress code for state workers that's very discriminatory. I'll give you more. Grooming standards include no unnatural, neon, or fluorescent hair colors, and no nose, lip, or other facial piercings. Sorry, all you pink-haired communists. You gotta go and change. You can't look like that. In fact, violators will be sent home to change. Repeat offenders could face further sanction and termination. Wait, Texas, what happened to freedom? Doesn't sound like freedom to me. Now, O'Connell notes that even cisgender people who wear gender-neutral clothing, such as cis women who favor men's formal wear, and there are plenty who do, slacks, the dreaded pantsuit that triggers conservative brains and makes them implode, could conceivably caught up in the new restrictions. You know why? Because here's the thing. All these anti-trans, I've noticed something. I'm sure you've noticed it as well. All of this anti-trans legislation always ends up having a splashback against cisgendered women. I mean, you have all these weirdo transvestigators that come out and, harass cisgendered women because they look a little too masculine. I mean, there's always the splashback. So look, trans misogyny is just plain old misogyny. And that's what it is. Simple as that. And yet, there are cisgender women, unfortunately, who have fallen in to attacking the transgender community when they're also being victimized by the same people and the same laws being passed against the transgender community. It really is incredibly frustrating and sad to see. So, but basically, yeah, cisgender women will have to wear skirts and dresses, even if they don't want to. Violators will be sent home. Apparently, what happened to freedom? What happened to freedom? There's no freedom. These people just want to control the way people act and dress and who they marry and all that stuff. And again, it's okay to have rules, against, for example, inappropriate stuff. If you do have, stuff that maybe doesn't cover everything that should be covered, but this is not that. This is not rules preventing that. This is rules specifically targeted towards attacking Gen Z, millennial, and transgender people overall. People who might actually want to express themselves with a different hair color. Maybe who want to express themselves with different kinds of dress. Or maybe just find, men's slacks more comfortable than wearing skirts and dresses. Clearly, though, it's violating a freedom in order to own the trans people because, well, they despise them. Now, O'Connell also writes, the policy, which is primarily aimed at office workers, will force trans employees back into the closet by forbidding them from expressing their identity. Exactly. So now, here's the thing about this. Turns out this might actually be a violation of the First Amendment. Because Texas, number one at violating people's rights under the Constitution. Oops. This is Brian Klosterbor, who's an attorney for the ACLU of Texas. He told the Texas Tribune that the dress violates the First Amendment's right to free expression and the Equal Protection Clause, as well as Title VII's prohibition of employment discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity. 100%. He said state agencies should be focused on doing their jobs and not discriminating against their own employees and trying to make political statements through their agency regulations. There is no important governmental interest that this can meet. Well, that's the thing, though. It's not a governmental interest. It's a political interest. And that's what Abbott's about. That's what these Republicans in Texas, that's what they care about. It's all political correctness. It's all a way to push and continue the culture wars, which help them retain power. They're not interested in doing the people's business. If they were, maybe they'd actually regulate the energy industry, so that you don't have people dying in a freak ice storm because there's not enough power, because they can't afford power. Or because Texas hasn't fixed their aging electric grid. How about you focus on that? Still has not been fixed. Still all the other issues in Texas, and yet they're focused on this. They're focused on owning the pink-haired communists and preventing them from working for the state? Having free expression? This is what they're focused on. This is their ideology. This is what they believe in. Control controlling people's lives, controlling what they do, controlling how they dress, controlling who they marry, controlling what kind of expression they have. Even their hair color. Do you understand that? The party of so-called freedom is actually the party of authoritarianism. They want to control you and your life. If you dare be any different than what they believe you should be, which of course is traditional, patriarchal, right-wing conservative gender roles. Look, I don't care if you want to live that way in your own personal life. I don't give a damn. If you want to be, stay at home, right-wing conservative mom, 6 kids, whatever. I don't care. Do what makes you happy. If that makes you happy, God bless. Enjoy your life. Live your life. But for fuck's sake, stop trying to control everybody else's life. Stop it. There's no need of that. Why don't you just leave us all the fuck alone? Like, goddamn. Okay, anyway. That went off track a little bit. So I'm going to have to, end it here with a little bit of good news. All right. The party of personal freedom is really just freedom for me, but not for thee. 100%. 100%. Deserves it. All right. Okay. I don't think I have a lower third for this, so I'm just gonna have to write that real quick. All right. So that is another also Minnesota W. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's not very good, but it gets the point across.
We'll do it live.
Okay. All right. Minnesota may just pass into law a ban on certain campaign financing. Interesting. Now, in a late night vote, which was very, very close, the Minnesota Senate approved something called the Democracy for the People Act. So what is that? Well, it's an omnibus democracy bill banning companies with at least 5% ownership stake by multiple foreign owners or a 1% stake by a single foreign owner from making political contributions in Minnesota state and municipal elections. So legislation also prohibits such companies from making dark money donations to super PACs. Awesome. Helping to get some of that dark money and big corporate spending out. I love it. So now this barely passed 34 to 33. So really, really close. But it may well be signed by Governor Tim Walz. It's going to him for a signature. He has promised to sign it into law and put up a firewall to keep Minnesota's elections safe, free, and fair, which again is awesome, wonderful, and a really good step towards actually ensuring that the will of the people is heard over the will of corporate donors and billionaires. So now the measure was also approved 70 to 57 along party lines in the State House of Representatives. So again, it's only got to go to Walz's desk, and he's going to sign it. So this is fantastic. Now, let me give you some quotes here. This is from Alexandra Flores Quilty, campaign director at Free Speech for Free People, whose model legislation heavily influenced this bill. She said multinational corporations are corrupting representative democracy by drowning out the voices of the people. The Democracy for the People Act will help put power back in the hands of the citizens. I have another quote here. This is from the Center for American Progress, saying this legislation will close a dangerous loophole opened by the U.S. Supreme Court's decisions in Citizens United versus FEC and reduce foreign influence in Minnesota's elections. Contains additional important measures to strengthen the freedom to vote and modernize the state's campaign finance system, including establishing automatic voter registration, awesome, enabling voters to opt in to automatically receive mail-in ballots for each election, also good, pre-registering 16 and 17-year-olds to vote upon turning 18, prohibiting intimidation and interference for the voting process, and increasing disclosure of secret political spending. So all of this stuff is, I think, a massive move forward and something that other states really do need to adopt. And even something like on the national level. Now, of course, the problem is that won't happen on the national level. There is too much corruption in our current Congress. However, seeing this happen at the state level, look, at the state level is where a lot of things happen. And I know a lot of us, lefty political commentators, we tend to miss some of the state stuff unless it's like terrible or trans bans and stuff like that. But really, we shouldn't be sleeping on the states. There's a lot of stuff that's getting done, and mainly because the federal government hasn't been able to get anything done because of that level of corruption. So it's good to see that there is a movement towards getting, again, rid of this dark money, getting rid of, yes, foreign influence. For example, Saudi Arabia has a large influence. You have other countries that have large influence in our elections, foreign lobbyists, etc. And of course, multinational corporations, which don't belong to any country. I mean, if you're, by definition, a multinational corporation, then you're not an American corporation, that's for sure. Or, yeah, anything like that. So, shouldn't have any influence in our elections anyway. So, yes, this is a fantastic bill with a lot of other smaller stuff. I love the automatic voter registration. I think that's going to help a lot. I don't know, again, why anybody would be against this idea, but we do live in America where you have a party that hates democracy. that literally their entire thing is, we don't like democracy. In fact, we're going to do everything we can to stop democracy. Same people that were also behind the January 6th, riots, coup attempt, all that stuff. So, yeah, it's no wonder why a lot of them are against this kind of stuff, are against transparency, are against getting rid of the corruptive influence of money in politics. And it's because they receive a lot of this money. All right, let me give you a couple more quotes here. Center for American Progress senior fellow Michael Sozin said in a statement following the state Senate vote, "Today, Minnesota took a giant step forward to strengthening free and fair elections, setting a strong example for the nation. At a time where many states are passing laws to suppress voters or subvert elections, Minnesota has become a national leader in protecting elections and empowering voters. The provision to stop political spending by foreign influenced U.S. corporations will limit the ability of foreign entities to spend money in Minnesota's elections and strengthen the ability of Minnesotans to chart their state's future." So, yes, all that is fantastic. And by the way, Common Dreams also notes that there's been momentum towards enacting legislation at the national level. This includes Elizabeth Warren's Anti-Corruption and Public Integrity Act and Jamie Raskin's Get Foreign Money Out of U.S. Elections Act. So there is moves, at the national level, but again, I am not optimistic. Not without massive movement, massive changes, because the level of corruption at the congressional level, I think, has reached a tipping point too far to be saved, to allow them to actually vote on something like this. I mean, any legislation to even attempt to curb money in politics at the national level would be first watered down massively, and then if it managed to pass, Supreme Court challenges all over the place. I still think the best way to get money out of politics is to have a constitutional convention, pass an amendment to get all political spending out, all private spending, and go to completely public elections. But that's still going to take a ton of work. There are people that are working on it. There are groups that are working on it, and they're doing fantastic work. But it is a long-term project, as is democracy. But it is still good to see some movements at the state level, and hopefully other states will adopt similar types of legislation so we can at least have some democracy in our own states. All right. Well, there you go. That's all I got for you today. Please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. I'll get to reading some super chats and member comments here in a minute. But before I do, just want to let you know I'm taking a personal day tomorrow. So I will not be here. There will not be a show. I'll be back on Monday. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of interesting Boebert stuff next week. I can't wait to get to that. But yes, no show tomorrow. We'll be back Monday. So just letting y'all know. All right. LL, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Appreciate that. Gabby Mathis, also thank you for gifting a membership and saying, in the super chat, quote, I'm old, but I worry about younger generations. We went solar, conserve water as much as we can. Please save the environment. We're doing our best. Doing our best. So, and by the way, there's a lot of older people who do care a lot about the environment as well. I think the older generations get a bad rap. In some of these cases, yes, there's a lot of people who are older that are in power that are absolute ghouls. I don't think that should reflect terribly on the entire generation, because there are a lot of amazing base progressive activists who have been fighting this fight their entire lives, more younger people like myself are honored to join into that fight and to help you realize dreams that you might not be around to see, an end result that you might not be around to see, but fighting for that anyway, knowing that you may not be here to see the fruits of your labors, and still fighting anyway. I mean, that's as badass as you can imagine, and I love it. So, and I appreciate it, and I thank you for it, for fighting, for as long as you have, and for continuing to fight. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, let's go to Twitch here, our Twitch community. Designer Dragon M, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub. Appreciate that. All right. So with that, thank you all. Really appreciate you. Love you. Please like and share the stream, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Give me a break.
I like my knee tight. Tighten up my knee. Beta!
Sexual anarchy.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of bees.
No.
Resurrection of Rocky People.
You're kicking me out the door. You're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
USA, USA.